Hi, Friday the 8th of July. This is the Democratic Alliance Labour report for the week. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this with friends. I've got a few interesting topics to talk about today with regard to the labour law. The first thing is vaccination, whether to be vaccinated or not. There's been some developments on this, and it's interesting to see how the CCMA have reacted. The second thing, obviously, is the wage dispute at Eskom has now come to an end, but I think this is just the beginning of the strike problems at Eskom with their staff. And then the third thing, obviously, is the threat by SAFTU, the umbrella body under Mr. Vavi, has threatened a mass strike. So thank you once again for listening to me. I really appreciate it. It's Friday, the 8th of July, 2022, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance Labour spokesperson. It's Michael Bagram, and I give this weekly report on trying to keep people updated on where we stand and what the Democratic Alliance is trying to do to alleviate some of the problems of unemployment and strife in the country. I hopefully will get some feedback from people, I always do, and we can then look into it as a Democratic Alliance and see what can be done. Well, the first thing, the vaccination. This is an interesting one, and we've spoken about this for months. Ever since the vaccination became available for COVID-19 in South Africa, you will recall all the problems, and we were very late in getting the vaccination. Our government didn't pay for one batch. They didn't order the batches properly. We had all sorts of problems. But of course, once the vaccination did arrive, then some people were reluctant to take it. And the appeal from the people was, where do the politicians stand? What do they do? And we in the Democratic Alliance didn't believe in a mandatory vaccination, but we said that if businesses, after consultation and looking into their risk analysis and discussions with individual employees and their operational requirements, they could, as a business, implement a mandatory vaccination if it was done properly and done according to the regulations of the Department of Employment and Labour. And regulations were brought out. The Minister of Employment and Labour put out regulations. Well, some of these regulations were absolutely ridiculous. I need not remind everyone that we had some really bizarre regulations. Remember, you couldn't buy T-shirts, you couldn't buy open sandals. They didn't want people to catch COVID, so they forced everyone to walk together at certain times and certain places. You couldn't go swimming. You couldn't go walking on the mountain. There were some really bizarre regulations, and I'm not sure what that Corona Command Council was smoking, but they really came out some weird things. And in fact, indeed, the Department of Employment and Labour came out with really weird regulations, to a large degree cutting down the employment in the country. To a large degree, we lost 2 million jobs over COVID-19 unnecessarily. It's not like our employment figures were good. We were the worst in the world to start off with, but because of the ridiculous regulations brought out by the Corona Command Council and the Department of Employment and Labour, might I add, we lost another 2 million jobs. We still haven't recovered, and I don't think we will recover from it, but it needs the DA to step in, hopefully in 2024, and to try and reverse some of these ridiculous regulations, which are a handbrake to job creation. We believe very strongly in job creation, and we also want to deregulate small business from big business. So we are moving very quickly, and you've seen that in the Western Province, which is DA controlled and governed, and the Western Province is creating jobs. So even so, we want this across the country. This is not a political thing. The Democratic Alliance believes that South Africans, no matter what their policies, no matter where they vote, no matter who they are, should be entitled to get a job. That's your constitutional right. You should be entitled to get a job. You should be entitled to earn a living. And the Democratic Alliance does not care where you come from, does not care who you are, does not care about your background or where you vote. What they want is you to get that job. And hopefully we will get your support to try and take over government in 24 to ensure that you do get that job. Well, with the vaccination, there were cases at the Labour Court. The Labour Court endorsed the fact that individual businesses could have mandatory vaccination. The CCMA, the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration, endorsed it on many occasions, dozens of cases at the CCMA arbitration awards, saying that if the business went through the proper process, if the business went through the proper consultation, needed the risk assessments to be positive, and needed to show that the individuals didn't have an invalid excuse. If they were an invalid excuse and you needed them to work, then you needed them to be vaccinated to protect the rest of the staff in terms of health and safety, you could implement the vaccination mandatory policy. Well, you could do so, and the CCMA had ruled that in the past. Well, what happened? Well, last week, we had an interesting arbitration award from the CCMA, and a company called Baroque Medical, Commissioner Richard Byrne, said that Baroque Medical could not implement a mandatory vaccination policy. He commented that it would be unconstitutional, and he ruled that the individual employee would be getting 12 months' salary. Well, what's interesting about this case is that, in fact, there were two other cases from exactly the same company, under exactly the same circumstances. Two other employees challenged their dismissal because of their refusal to take the mandatory vaccination. And both those cases from two different other commissioners said that the dismissal was fair. So now you try and add this up. What is going on? Why is it that the CCMA, in the same place with different commissioners, same set of facts, said two were fair dismissals and the third one, no? Well, obviously it does sound like an anomaly. I wrote to the senior convening commissioner of the CCMA, who said he would investigate it. He referred this on to Commissioner Fenter. Commissioner Fenter then did answer me and said, well, they don't want to interfere with their commissioners. There might have been different set of circumstances. I don't think there were. And he said at the end of the day that for Commissioner Fenter, for him, he understood the anomaly, he understood the problem, and he understood the confusion that that's placing in the business realm. And he then said that it was not for the CCMA to comment on the constitutionality or not of the regulations as put out by the Department of Employment and Labour. Now, we at the Democratic Alliance believe that many of those regulations are wrong. We believe that they're overstated, that they are a retardation of business, of job creation, and we'd like to put pressure on that minister to change this, and we have been doing. We're putting a lot of pressure through the Department of Employment and Labour on the minister. We have meetings, often regular meetings, through the Portfolio Committee, and the Democratic Alliance is at the forefront of pushing for deregulation and job creation. And this we're going to have to pick up as well with the department, because you get the department on the one hand making a regulation saying X, you have the CCMA on the other hand saying Y, and you have the CCMA also saying that the regulations by the minister are unconstitutional. Well, we can't live like that, and it only creates more confusion. So I will be reporting to you in the near future. Thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. I thank you for following us, and I look very keenly to have your support in those next elections in 2024 so that we can have job creation and have a very fulfilled country in the future. Thank you very much.